with his he has great abilities there, especially being able to use the trespass. It's a good form of CC. It's AoE, and if you've got hooks on everyone, can be up to a triple stun, which can be so massive in a team fight. And now we do see the Lyra pick up in return, and the Sky ban. I was wondering for the second ban coming out from the side of 501st, would they, have watched yesterday's matches and knowing that Impunity, they want to go for this Churnwalker Saw comp, or perhaps by picking up that Lyra, it could suggest 501st themselves with this next pickup could go for the Saw themselves.
I think 501st really want Crawl or Rhyme. Petal and Sky are the two kiting heroes that counter Crawl. If in previous patches if Crawl was picked up, you'd say, right, Petal, Sky, maybe a CP Kestrel, and we'll pick, and that'll be fine against it. But 501st banning away Petal and Sky, the two main counters, they're going to go for Fortress Lyra. So that has to be a carry Fortress, probably Jungle Crystal. And I see no reason to not go Saw for Impunity. It's great against Fortress. He has a weak early game. His jungle takes ages to farm, so when he's farming jungle, Saw's pushing turrets. This is a really nice comp for Impunity. I'm sure 501st Legion have done their homework. They will have looked at the games yesterday and be expecting this. So I really hope that it's obviously something very off-meta from 501st. So it must be their counter to this Saw Churnwalker comp is a Fortress. I'm excited to see how it works. I do not know if chains apply on Fortress's Wolves. It kind of would be a good thing and a bad thing, because if it hits them, it resets its cooldown anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But that is something that hopefully we'll get to see in this match, because it applies on jungle minions, but not lane minions, and not Kraken and not turrets. So probably not. I'm going to say no on Wolf. But the Rhyme last pick from PNC, just a solid pick to round out their comp. Strong early game jungler is Rhyme, really good against melee like Fortress. And so their last pick, 501st, they've got Vox they could try, but that's terrible against Saw. Baron could work, but then again, you're going to struggle in the early game. Late game would be fine, but again, you're going to struggle tons when Saw is strongest. So maybe even a Ringo could work for 501st. It has quite a decent range, and it might beat the Saw.
And with that, oh my, they're going to go for the Celeste pick. And this is another one of those late game kind of picks, but it's more so for the fact that once Celeste hits level 8, she's going to have that extra range on the Heliogenesis, and it helps them fights against Saw, kind of can outrange them in that sense. But if they get a hook on them and they get tormented in, it's going to be quite dangerous. Of course, you have the core collapse available for you there. But just looking at Impunity's comp, I really thought with that last pick that they were going to go for, we could see the Reza again. But they're just going to go for the more OP pick of Rhyme, who's just currently so strong in this patch. And you can imagine the lockdown potential they've got on the side of Impunity now that they have the suppressing fire for the slows, and as I mentioned, all the CC coming out from Churnwalker, and they're going to be able to get the chill wins off for the roots. It's a very, very strong comp looking at it right now, and I'm a bit worried for the side of 501st, how they're going to fight against this.
I have to agree. I think Impunity have got exactly what they wanted, and 501st have tried to counter it. The Celeste has always been seen as good against Saw, because once you hit level 8, you outrange him massively. He's very immobile. Once he's suppressing fires, you get an easy stun with your core collapse. But there's only one stun for 501st Legion. They can't do what I've seen some teams counter Saw with, which is a Catherine and Celeste, because then as soon as Source uses his pressing fire, Catherine stuns him out of it so he doesn't get stacks. Then Celeste stuns, get that chain CC and burst him down. Even in early game, you're probably going to win that fight if you get the double CC, because he won't have a block in time. But with only one stun, Saw needs one block. He'll block that stun and be fine. Or he can try and dodge it and try and block the Atlas Pauldron, because you know there's going to be an Atlas on most likely Fortress. But I really think Impunity have got the advantage in draft. We're going to have to see what 501st are going to try and do against this. And the early game is going to be so rough for 501st. Fortress, terrible farm clear, terrible speed. Celeste is quite quick, but Fortress is so slow. Celeste, early game, has quite good farm clear in the lane. But with that being reduced to 50% damage on Helios as opposed to basic attacks, it's going to be tough for her to farm up. She's going to take a lot of damage from Saw. So I think if Impunity play this well, they should be fine.
Yeah, and it's not even about playing this too. While Impunity have a fairly easy game here because through the draft they've mostly won. It's whether 501st can play this to their best that they might be able to pull something out of this match. But you look at the matchups here, both in lane and jungle, and that's why I mean when it plays so much into Impunity's hands. And you said it correctly, saying Impunity probably got the draft they want. So with that, I do think there's a possibility for 501st, if they manage to make it to the late game, that they could bring it back. They've got a decent front line. Lyra is going to be there to help provide the appeal for the Celeste, keeping them off with the Bright Bulwark and obviously sustain through the Imperial Sigil. But I do worry about the early game, as you said. That's going to be so tough. With that Fortress into Rhyme, he's just jumping exactly Rhyme, not having to worry about anyone to chase down. So it was weird that we saw a lot of kiting heroes such as the Petal and Sky being banned out on the side of 501st, and so they obviously don't go into that, but they kind of forgot about the fact that, well, the Rhyme was still on the table, and now they're going to have to go into... There's no one to kite out the Rhyme because they banned out all the people that were going to kite out Rhyme for their own comp.
Yeah, so interesting rotation from Impunity. They're going for early game aggression as we expected, but they're doing it by Saw getting this Elder Tree, and he will be able to secure it most likely with a Dank Shank. But he almost dies to the Lyra. If Lyra saw how low Saw was, she might have even gone in. But that does mean DefQ going to get some boots probably and come back to lane, but he's not going to push the wave that quickly. Yes, Impunity able to farm up quickly and port home and all get boots, but that wasn't that good of a rotation from them because just it took so long for Saw to take that tree, and he basically died to it. And now Saw's going to try and push this wave up, not quite level 2 in time, and Celeste is going to try and stop him as quick as she can. Is DefQ going to go aggressive? Cordovar is in lane, but no, DefQ not going to go aggressive quite yet. He's waiting for a bit longer before he, maybe level 2, before he actually decides to go against Revenger X.
Yep, Revenger X already taking a lot of damage there, and the Imperial Sigil was there to heal them up, but that's not for another 10 seconds. Cordovar, however, by putting himself in that frontline position, is at a bit of risk himself, and we'll see he manages to get another hook and chain off and just kind of trying to push Revenger X back from any of this farm. We see that DefQ doing their best to keep up here, seeing at 13 over to Revenger X's 13, but right now they're kind of just playing it passive, and if we look over to the jungle instead, Blue City able to pick up that outer triumph for himself. So even though it is the side of Impunity should have the advantage here, I think we'll have to see once Blue City makes the rotation up.
This can be aggression from DefQ in the lane. He's now much more aggressive positioning. Cordovar's going low. He might be in trouble. 2 chains.
The Torment pulling them back, and DefQ almost gets Jasmine. They're fairly low, but at the moment with only one weapon blade, it isn't going to be enough damage. They did decide to go for that of the light shield early on, knowing that they're a fairly easy target, and it shows a bit of respect to that of Revenger X on the Celeste.
They just give up the turret. Falzo first just gave up their tier 1 turret because they're Celeste porting home, so I think they've just decided that Saw's going to get it, and they're not worried.
Well, Cordovar, Jasmine also going home on that Lyra did actually get cancelled out initially by Cordovar, but either way, you're right about that. The first turret going to fall 3 minutes into the game. DefQ going so low himself, he will get taken down by 501st. You gotta respect for auto attacks on those on that Celeste, and they get the double kill for themselves. However, Revenger very low now. Look at this positioning by Blue City, just coming up behind the enemy team. There's going to be the Imperial Sigil keeping Revenger alive, but he's going to run in there, get the chill wins, gets the root, but dies. And now we see 501st punishing the, I guess you could call it a bit of cockiness, maybe a bit too confident for Impunity in their team comp.
Yeah, definitely. They got the tier 1 turret, so that's worth dying for, especially with a comp like this. You need to get those turrets, push your advantage, and I think Rhyme got a bit of jungle away from Fortress. Yeah, he is quite a bit ahead, but I don't quite understand the decision for Blue City to not be with his team. I think that's necessary for them to stick together, and then once he tried to 1v3, it wasn't the best decision, but XP Jasmine in a tough position. Torment pulls him back. Will it be enough?
We'll see Torment up in a few more seconds if he can keep a hook on, but it does fade away. Blue City now moving up to the lane. and just making sure that Cassandra doesn't make their way up from the jungle as well. There's going to be the core collapse, stunning out Quarterball. They're going fairly low, but the root lands onto Celeste, and Rhyme is going to pick up that kill. Jasmine fairly low on the turret themselves. Blue City trying to steal farm away from Cassandra, doesn't manage to, but right now you can see Impunity just focusing on getting the second turret. Although they made a bit of a mistake when taking that initial turret, they are going to get this.
Keep trying to start a step himself out.
No,
he does
I am wrong. Oh my, the caster's curse kicking in bad today as we see Saw going down early. There's going to be the Winter Spires onto Revenger X, but the Heliogenesis are down all over the floor. They need to be careful where they step. Cassandra uses Attack of the Pack, and this fight could go in favor of 500 versus they're going to be able to pick up Quarterball.
Yeah, I'm pretty confident that you cannot hook and chain Fortress Wolf, sorry. I'm pretty sure that they just went straight through onto the heroes. Now, Defq, you can try and farm this wave under turret. I don't think Revenger X is going to get much turret damage against this Saw. But yeah, Defq was stutter stepping for his life at the end there. He was trying to get the turret. He was trying his absolute hardest to take that down, and did in the end manage to do so, trading his life for it. Now, Revenger X trying to push by himself, but 2 turrets have already fallen. After first are in a bit of trouble. And Rhyme was behind Fortress in terms of levels, but Fortress so far behind in terms of items, I have no idea what Cassandra's building. He's going Tension Bow, Storm Crown, Aftershock all at the same time, which is just not a good build. You need a tier 3 item. Rhyme has a Shatterglass, and Cassandra is still like 800 gold away from getting any tier 3.
And they're doing 3 items at the same time, I believe. They picked up a Stormguard banner in that shop as well, and we see Impunity putting a lot of pressure down here, but they do need to respect the area of denial that 500 first have, that they're able to put a lot of damage down. And
3 chains
around with the suppressing fire. You're right about that. Triple chains up, but they're gonna get pushed back by Attack of the Pack. Fountain was used on the side of Impunity, still up for 500 first, so 500 first actually in a bad position to fight this. Blue City with Valkyrie over the wall. There's a suppressing fire. Can they pick up the kills? No. Core collapse going to stop Defq from chasing in, and 500 first using the Fountain, still in a better position than Impunity. They could look to win another team fight for themselves, and it looks like they're going to go into bat of Blue City. He gets caught out with the core collapse, but the turnaround as we see Defq putting down damage and Impunity managing to hold out.
Yeah, no one dies, no one gets a kill, and there's no gold mine either. I thought Impunity might try and sneak that away. It could have guessed that the members of 501st First are going to back off, and Saw's now trying to solo the gold mine, because why not? Yeah, the Impunity are going to start it up. One thing that Chumwalker does so well is if they try and steal gold mine now, he'll just chain them. They're going to take massive damage from the Saw. There we go, from Saw's executing that gold mine with his roadie run, and so they really just couldn't do that. Now Defq, you're going to try and farm this wave up. And one thing that Impunity need to recognise is that they do not need to take that tier 3 turret for another about 8 minutes, because really you cannot push the game to win. Take those 2 Vein Crystal turrets unless you are massively ahead, because that tier 3 turret is fine, you can take that, but you kill them, you try and push down the Vein Crystal turrets, and they've already respawned by the time you're trying to push it. That is Chumwalker, second item Echo. That is going to be some tormenting games. Here we go.
Yeah, then we see the hook and chain does land onto... It's going to be Attack of the Pack used in defense from 500 first. The Solar Storm coming out, and Valkyrie landing onto Cassandra. They might be able to pick up the kill. They get it. Core Collapse not going to land and stun up Blue City, so he's going to be able to walk away. The portal used from Jasmine to get out of danger, but Defq hunting down Revenger X. Needs to be careful of that Crystal Sentry. MVP looking for a kill in this match. Not sure if he's going to find it. Blue City turning their attention to it, but he gets him.
Goes
the
down.
MVP picking up the kill alongside Revenger X. Both back to base together with Fashion, although Revenge X cancelling it there. Does think they have enough energy to continue the chase, although they are quite low. Those auto attacks still doing a fair amount. Can they get the Supernova off? And they do! Exploding Saw as he runs in there for the roadie run. He's not even going to be able to... Chumwalker isn't even going to be able to get the kill of satisfaction onto Revenger X, and Revenger X 8-1-0 on the Celeste, doing work, all 8 kills of the team. And I think, you know, that is kind of what 500 first were playing around of the Celeste getting so built up. But Impunity kind of giving away these kills, I would beg to
it seems a tad unnecessary from Impunity, but that's a lovely Valkyrie.
Yep, and the kill going back over in favor of Saw. They did stick around a bit too long beside of 500 first. That Valkyrie proving so strong. And always Blue City landing these Valkyries in these fights. It's good to see that making full use of the CC available to them. But I do mean that what we were talking about before, maybe Impunity had given over a few too many early kills.
Cassandra is dead.
But it's still gold at the end of the day.
Yeah, it is. Revenger X is going to get a kill, but that's a lovely ultimate au revoir. He gets the return. Torment Echo just for the lols. Now, Blukes, he doesn't get the chill wins. He wasn't Frostcut. Didn't get the Frostcut applied. And for DefQ, his strategy is, I don't care if I die. I want to push lane. Saw push lane and Saw do nothing else. So Blukes needs to get a bit of farm and port home. Qualivar's going to, no, not die. He's got the boots. Will he survive this?
He probably won't. Oh, he uses the Crucible as well. He needs the damage from his team. If he gets the futility of life, no. Saw not close enough. Perhaps if Saw ran a bit closer initially and then used that suppressing fire, the futility of life could have kept Churnwalker alive, and that's something very unique and cool about his kit. The fact that the damage dealt onto the enemies will also make Churnwalker more tanky, and I think that is such a cool aspect for one of the support heroes in Vainglory.
Yeah, it creates such an interesting counterplay where if you're low, the best decision is to go in and try and fight. And if you try and run away, you're more likely to die. So that is really something that only Churnwalker has. It's really exciting. Something like a Lyra is if you back off, you heal up, you can back off. With Churnwalker, you have to be fighting to try and heal up. And he could be out of position. He's going to try and get 2 chains. 3 chains, not quite, only going to get 2. But where's Saw? Where's Rhyme?
It's going to be the suppressing fire and a lot of damage for Valkyrie, proving big for the side of Impunity as they pick up the double kill onto that Saw. Blue City going to chase down Cassandra. Attack of the pack not even going to be useful in this fight as they get pushed away so hard. And there's going to be the triple kill over onto DefQ, and the ace being that they're going to move their attention to that of Goldmine and that 3rd turret. That you're right about when you said they can take it, but after this point they kind of have to wait for Kraken to come up unless they get a huge advantage where they feel confident enough to push into the base and take both turrets and the crystal at once. They'd
have to get like 2 aces in a row without shopping, and that is tough. It's doable for someone like a Saw, but it is very tough, and that was such a fantastic play from Impunity. They looked at the Lyra build, they went, okay, she's gone for Fountain into Atlas. Perfect. Let's go for the chain RCC. Churnwalker gets this double stun with his ultimate. Rhyme gets a double stun with his ultimate. They just chain those 2 together so well. And then, even though you don't expect to get a Crucible against a Rhyme Saw Churnwalker combo, you need to, because if you don't block that CC, you're going to get blown up by the Saw, who's built minion candy now. He's got so much damage. Soulblade into a Tyrant. But it's interesting, Saw's gone for an Aegis as opposed to going a Glass Cannon, which we normally see, because he's just respecting Revenger X, and it is a double Crystal Power comp. We didn't know what Cassandra was going for. He built Weapon Blades early on, suggesting it might be an on-hit Tension Bar Aftershock, and he's gone for Aftershock into Storm Crown, so it's going to be lots of Crystal Power. Aegis dealing extra, and Blukesty doing a bit of work. Jasmine could be out of position. Nice rotation from Impunity, and they're going to fight under the sentry. If Churn gets 4 chains, they wouldn't fight.
Yep, and we'll have to see as Churnwalker, quarter one, that Churnwalker, to be precise, up in the front line, uses the Trespass, stuns out a few of them, echoes the Trespass so he can use it again, this time not focusing on the Torment, noticing that 500 first close enough for the kills. Impunity going to pick up another ace for themselves. Now the base is open. They've got 9 seconds on Jasmine, and the carries both 10 seconds above up before they get back on the fold. So they're just going to push it into the base, maybe for the win, because they take the first turret, they take the second. Quarter board just being in that front line, being a nuisance for the enemy team, and they get that first crystal of the game. Impunity going to be taking that one with ease. Well, I would almost say, I want to say with ease. They looked a lot cleaner into the mid game once they found that footing, but that early game, they gave over so many early kills. We saw Revenger X with like 8 kills, about, I'd say something like